Gentlemen, got some final thoughts on Alabama, Oklahoma. Gonna put this game to bed. But Ty Simpson was at the press conference, talking about he didn't go around blaming anybody, he just kind of took responsibility for it. Like, what was your thoughts on the press conference from DeBoer and Simpson and all those guys, just like watching bits and pieces of it?
Yeah, for me, it really just looks like a group that's trying to move forward. They really know that they can't control anything that happened Saturday, but they're just trying to move forward. Obviously, the offense knows that they have to play cleaner football overall, and they know that they gifted a lot of those points to Oklahoma in the first place. So it's really just like a reflection thing from the things I'm hearing from Ty Simpson, from Kalen DeBoer, Ryan Grubb, and even Kane Womack. And with Kane Womack, I don't think they need to be saying much. I mean, they've been the defense been doing what they need to do, but like I said, it's just been some problems on the offensive end that's really been biting his team in the butt overall, and then just like I said, it's just been a lot of self reflection going on from the things I've heard so far.
Yeah, and there was a little bit where he gave his take on the Connor Talty missed field goal, where he was just like, it's a little bit of the same as the last time we missed one. Just we could get a little better snap, but we could make the kick too. And it took a little bit of everything on the execution from the snap to the kick. Got to find a way to kick it through when it's not perfect. Got to find a way to execute better on the whole thing, the whole operation. I couldn't agree with that. We definitely have to work on that kicking game. We've got to do a better job at it, especially in the coming weeks, especially when it gets to the Iron Bowl. Because if we do not take advantage of any opportunity we've got, we're in trouble against those Tigers because they are looking to just spoil playoff hopes for the Crimson Tide. They are looking to do just that.
Yeah, and then like with the Talty situation, you would expect a cleaner operation from the holder. From holder to kicker during this time of year, but they just been having problems over this whole season. Kind of, just some of the ups and downs that kind of Talty has went through. But it sounds like Kalen DeBoer is continuing to kind of keep his confidence behind Talty because you never know when we're going to need him this time of year because today Alabama is going on the road inside of Jordan Hare. There's no telling what moment of the game they'll need him. And from a confidence standpoint, you want your kicker to be confident going in so he can make those kicks for you, because like I said, they're going to need him at some point. So they can't just operate like like they don't have a kicker. So really just I'm really just hoping that in practice that they're taking it step by step and getting stuff down, so they can get their rhythm back and do the things that they need to do for Alabama to be successful, so they can really just secure themselves into this playoff. Because like I said, there's no margin for error, so even a small kick or something like that could really derail them from their goals. So that's real important from what Kellen DeBoer is saying about Talty.
And Godfather SC, shout out to our OG YouTube member of Alabama with the Voice of College Football. He says, always remember what Coach Bryant said. You have to be sound in the kicking game as special teams at all times. 100% you have to be. 100% you have to be.
Yeah, and then just being sound on top of that, that just goes back to the fumble that Ryan Williams had in the kick return game, and Kellen DeBoer had said some stuff about how the Oklahoma special teams unit was kind of they were kind of tricky, for lack of a better term. But he said they were kind of tricky in how they were kicking the ball and stuff, so that triggered them to make the decision to have Ryan Williams and Latsir Brooks back there. But like the Godfather was saying, special teams is really important. So they're gonna have to get those players sure-handed and moving forward, so they don't make those mistakes, so they don't give teams those extra possessions. Because That's really what it was against Oklahoma, giving them extra possessions, giving them extra chances, giving them extra room to capitalize off of Alabama's margin for error. So hopefully they can get that part of the game cleaned up because they need all phases of the game to be successful. So.
Jeffrey, what are your final thoughts on Alabama, Oklahoma for this week?
Well, I mean, the thing is like Godfather of the SEC said, the kicker's getting roasted. I mean, on that specific play, there's a lot going on there. Everybody keeps saying, was it blocked? I've watched it about 50 times now. I don't know if it was blocked. I don't think it was blocked. It could have been blocked, but I don't know. I don't think it was. But at the same time, like, people were trashing Talty for going off at the holder. Well, some people are saying that he was going off about the Oklahoma guy that jumped the line and there was no penalty. It looked like he was talking to the holder, but he might have been talking to the holder about that. But at the same time, he might have actually been going off with the holder. There's a lot there. That's all I know. There was a lot with that play. The main takeaway from that play is that play is not the sole reason we lost. And everyone knows that, but we want to harp on that. I remember our good friend Will and D talking about the A&M Notre Dame game earlier this season and how I told him, like, hey, Tyler Buchner just blew the game for you. And Will said, yes, he did. By fumbling the snap, didn't get the extra point, and Notre Dame lost by 1. But there were a lot of other plays, Will said, is why Notre Dame lost that game as well. It was not just that. And the same goes for the kick. Yes, if Connor Talty hits that field goal, if everything goes smooth on that, we win the game. And yes, we are going to need our kicker to be better down the stretch of the season against Auburn and in the playoffs if we make it and in the SEC title game, because if not, it might cost us another game. And that would suck. But that play was not the only reason we lost. And again, everyone knows that, but it's just because you want to harp on that play. We know for a fact Ty Simpson's pick 6 was, to me, more influential than the missed field goal. It was a bigger deal. I mean, that's 3 points. You're talking about 6 points with a pick 6 turns into 7 points for Oklahoma that they shouldn't have had. Because, I mean, even with that interception, if we don't allow the pick 6 and we stop them right there, does Oklahoma go down the field and score a touchdown? Probably not, because Oklahoma did not do that once in the entire game. All of their scores came off our mistakes and giving them great field position. The pick 6 was just directly there. Just gave them that. So that was the bigger problem. Our defense was not bad. I mean, like you said, Travion, definitely Womack does not really have a lot, to say, like, hey, we need to do this. This is better. You always need to improve. Yeah, I mean, you want to strive for improvement. No matter how good you are, there's always probably another gear you can reach. But definitely it's not the defense's problem. Giving up 200 yards to Oklahoma, that's good. 212 yards, that was fine. The turnovers, we cannot have that happen again in a game this season. 3 turnovers. The way those turnovers happened, too, is just even worse. They were just terrible turnovers. I mean, probably the least bad one was Ryan Williams, just because the fact Ryan Williams, he's a really small guy, and him, he got punched out, man. Like that was tough. I mean, where he fumbled it out on the field was terrible, but it's like maybe not have him in the return game. That's a fixable problem. But like Simpson, he cannot sit in the pocket and take sacks and get the ball knocked out. He's got to throw it away. That's an improvement right there. Can't have a throw like that again where he gives up the pick 6. That's teachable. Cannot do that against Auburn. Cannot do that in the SEC title game if we make that. Because if you do, we're not winning those games. It's just not going to happen because we know Auburn's going to give us 110%. So definitely defense wasn't the problem. There were a lot of issues in the game. Just a lot of particular plays that were the problem. It was not just Talty in the kick. That needs to be addressed, though. Everything needs to be addressed. This is a wake-up call. Thankfully, with a 12-team playoff now, it doesn't eliminate you. Because if it was a 14 playoff, we think about it if it was a 14 playoff. Right now, with a 14 playoff, we're mad. Oh, my gosh, Alabama's done. It's history. We're not making the playoffs now. DeBoer needs to be fired. We're not saying that because it's a 12-team playoff now. We can still get in. Everything's still in front of us. It's all good. But this was a wake-up call. We've got the easiest of all gimme games next week. Like, just, it's still ridiculous. I'm sorry. I know for SEC perspective, you don't want to be trashing it because it sounds like a Big Ten homer here. I'm not a Big Ten or SEC homer. I'm just being honest. It is dumb that we play these games when we do.
I know,
but
right.
we got the ultimate game to get right against pretty much air. So definitely all the issues we had this week,
Fair.
we can address next week, and hopefully we'll be able to move past this game because this is a good team. This is a better team than last year. They're really good, but this game was definitely a wake-up call for sure.
Yeah, and one more thing I want to speak to, just what's been going on with this Alabama offense. Pretty much throughout this entire season in the second half, they just been having, like I said, just lack of execution, and just overall, this is a team that doesn't score a lot of points in the second half. I mean, if I go down the throughout all the second halves they played, like for example, versus Florida State, they had 10 points in the second half. Versus ULM, they had 31 points in the second half, but that's inferior competition. Versus Wisconsin, they had 17 points. Versus Georgia, they laid a donut egg and had 0. Versus Vanderbilt, they had 15. Versus Missouri, they had 10. Versus Tennessee, they had 14. Versus South Carolina, they had 15. But we all know those came in the final 2 minutes. And versus LSU, they had 3. And then just this past weekend versus Oklahoma, they had 7. So it's really just a pattern there for me. Like I said, they are in depth of finishing ball games, had leads, and this is how teams stay around and things like that. And that's gonna really come back to bite them in the playoffs if they do not finish. If they indeed do make the playoffs, do make the SEC title game, because uh, after this week being Cupcake Week, they're not gonna be playing any inferior teams. Every team's gonna be up to date. And after Auburn, pretty much it's postseason, so every team there has, I would think, would have a capable offense that is capable of winning them those games. So with Alabama not being efficient in the second half, that might come back to hurt them. So hopefully that this week, when they do play Eastern Illinois, we can see some signs of them in the second half being more efficient, putting more points on the board from an offensive standpoint, and playing a more complete game, because overall they just haven't been playing complete games, and they've been winning, and the wins have been covering up some of these glaring deficiencies they have. But as we saw Saturday, you can only cover it up so much. We're in their head more and more. And versus Auburn, when they play Auburn, they playing them at a 6 o'clock game on the road, national televised. Who knows what can happen? So offense, I would hope that they, have a lot of self-reflection and move forward and start putting together some better performances, because the Alabama football team is going to need it.
Yeah, I remember like the last time Alabama Auburn was at night was obviously on the very date, November 29th. How ironic is that? November 29th, 2014. And Brent Musburger and Jesse Palmer, I believe, were on the call on ESPN that night.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be some crazy stuff going on in that game for sure. That's why I'm harping on this offense, playing their best football, particularly in the second half, because you don't want to keep a team like Auburn around. I know we're gonna get to that later on in the when we start looking down the line and stuff like that. But a team like Auburn, for their bowl eligibility, then they also got the spoiler factor of wanting to spoil Alabama's season, and then just the rivalry on top of that. It's the Iron Bowl, so they're interim head coach on top of that. They got every reason to want to spoil things for Alabama. So hopefully, like I said, this offense can uh, have a come to Jesus meeting, do whatever they got to do in practice this week to start cleaning some things up and stop leaving this defense hanging. Pretty much. Yeah.
I will say with Auburn, I really don't want to trash them too hard, because of the fact that if I do, then there will be Auburn fans that somehow find me saying what I'm saying and say, hey, we beat you. It's all because you said and opened your mouth. Okay. The point I'm trying to make when it comes to Auburn, though, is that they don't even care about their bowl game. That's a sad thing. I remember when they made a bowl game a couple of years ago and they played Maryland and they got beat by like 28. They didn't even show up. So they don't even care about that. They would rather lose to Mercer next week and then beat Bama and go 5-7 than beat Mercer and Alabama, go 6-6 and make a bowl game. They would rather lose to Mercer. I'm telling you, they don't even care about the bowl game. That's how sad they are as a program, that they don't care about the bowl game. They don't care about Mercer because they lost to New Mexico State and then almost beat us. It took a 4th and 31 for us to beat them that year in 2023 in Jordan-Hare when they lost to New Mexico State. And I don't care about Diego Pavia, New Mexico State. That's still a garbage loss for Auburn. They didn't even try in that game. It's not like they barely lost the game. They got blown out by New Mexico State and then almost beat Alabama. So that's why football games, and people are like, oh, well, Alabama barely beat Auburn, but this team beat Auburn by 40. It's like, okay, Auburn didn't try in that game, and against Alabama, they did. People should be aware of that. People should understand that, okay? If Auburn plays as close, they always play as close in Jordan-Hare. They're going to play as close in Jordan-Hare again unless they've completely given up, but I doubt it because Auburn is going to show up in the game. They do every year. It's just a shame. I mean, again, as an Alabama fan, I would hate to be them. If our program was like theirs, where it's like, oh, we only show up for 2 games a year, I would just be sick. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, they better blow Mercer out next week. If they let Mercer hang around, that's just sad. That's really sad. I mean, Florida started to do the same thing. We saw Florida, again, get destroyed by Kentucky, but then, they almost beat Georgia, and they hung in there last week against Ole Miss because they want Lane. They're not getting Lane. So the thing is these people, I don't understand why Auburn does this, but they're going to show up. We have to play a A-plus game to win. That's ultimately what I'm trying to get at, because no matter what Auburn cares about, and it's not the bowl game, it's not Mercer, they're going to show up against us. They will. Because they know if they beat us, we're out of the playoffs, and they would love that.
Oh, Auburn, they're just kind of like Candace on Phineas and Ferb trying to bust the brothers, being like, whoever's controlling the mysterious force, knock it off.
And then what's just crazy about Auburn? They're coming off a bye week, right? So they're pretty much not even looking at Mercer. They pretty much have 2 weeks to prepare for this Alabama football team, and that's just more added ammunition for them to have even more be even more dangerous inside of Jordan-Hare on November 29th. So that's why I'm really harping on this Alabama football, most particularly this offense, to get their together, man, because it's not, man. I would just hate for it just to come down to the 4th quarter inside of Jordan-Hare, and this offense is still looking how it's looking, and we need a drive to put us to clinch this to get us to the SEC championship game. The offense is still dragging their bag, so we just gonna have to see, man, for real. But
man, it's like you guys and everyone in chat, y'all are making me want to pick Mercer when I go on with Lucas on the SC channel discussing Auburn Mercer, making me think, you know what, I'm gonna go with Mercer. I'm tempted to go with Mercer. Now that y'all got me thinking about it, it's like, why being FCS over FBS? Well, I mean, it's
until they become a program that actually shows up in the rest of their games, I'm going to keep harping on this. It makes them mad. I don't care. Fix your program. Show up in your other 10 games. Don't just play hard against us. All right? Like, make it look better if you beat us. Because if Auburn beats us, if they beat us in Jordan-Hare this year, that is going to be ugly. A bad team like that. But at least if Auburn's 9-2 and they beat us, it's like, okay. Like you make it look bad if you do beat us because your record's so poor.
I want to see the Iron Bowl where both teams look really good, kind of like 1971, where both teams were unbeaten going into that game, and we beat the snot out of Auburn. I want to see games like that again.
Yeah, and it's just gonna be so much pressure on the board leading up to that, because just imagine if Auburn does the unthinkable and upsets it's not going to be good for calendar board. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to speculate on what could happen, but there's definitely going to be some changes if that were to happen. So can't take this Auburn team lightly at all.